Yo, what's up everybody, King GBL here and welcome back to a brand new Go Battle League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a really strong team from last season, which is Swampert double Flier. In today's video we're rocking with Swampert in the lead and Noctowl and Pidgeot. You can also run this team with Noctowl and Altaria, or you can use any other Flier variation that you want to. I like these two. I think actually Altaria is probably better, but yeah, this is what I wanted to showcase for today's video. Before we get into it, as always, drop a like, drop a sub, you know the drill around here. And I actually recently started a new Discord and a brand new Twitter page for this channel, so feel free to check those out, link in the description down below. And in yesterday's video, where funny enough we were showcasing Dragonair, which we've seen in the lead here, I was asking everybody, do you guys prefer seeing battles with some of the losses included, or do you prefer just seeing all of the wins for like entertainment? And a lot of you guys commented on that you would like to see the losses and basically learn from the mistakes and all that kind of stuff, so we're going to be including those going forward. I'll basically see how that goes and see if it's a better way to do the videos. I definitely agree that whenever it comes to watching these videos, a lot of people are trying to learn like best teams and things like that. So if you're only seeing the wins, you don't really see like how the losses work and how to overcome losses potentially. So thank you everybody who dropped a comment on that video. So the opponents get a really fun team here. They've got Litleo, Dragonair, and yeah, it's definitely a very spicy pick. I like it a lot. Unfortunately, they caught the, was it a Brave Bird on the Steelix, so that put us in a rough position off the beginning. We do take out the Litleo finally, and yeah, the opponent has two shields here, and they're just doing so much damage with this Dragon Breath. If you save the shields for Dragonair, like, it just sweeps everything, it's so strong. I do decide to get off the Sky Attack here. Maybe going for the farm down would be the best potential play, but it's going to be so hard to farm down with Swampert, and I feel like Swampert is so spammy that I might be able to get two moves here. So we'll see what we can do. The opponent, they actually got ahead in energy as well, and any move will take us out here, unfortunately. The Body Slam goes through, and yeah, the Dragonair just absolutely fries us down. Dragonair is definitely a funny one, guys. I would recommend actually trying it out. But going into the next battle here, we've got a very positive lead. Let's see what the opponent does. They go into a Lantern. Now, Lanterns are a real problem for this team. The only thing that can really handle it is Swampert. So we're going to stay in here, and in PvE poke simulations, it recommends going for Hydro Cannon baits. But I decide, okay, I'm going to really overfarm like crazy, make the opponent think I'm baiting, and just go for the big move. The opponent, yeah, they shielded up, which just makes this matchup so awkward. So I'm like, okay, this is really rough at this point. You probably should just shield everything here if you get in this situation. So I decide, okay, I'm going to go for a bait this time. The opponent knows I'm throwing Earthquakes, let's throw this bait here. And the opponent, they no shield it. This is a nightmare. Whenever you get into this matchup, I pretty much decide I'm going to sacrifice the Pidgeot. But whenever you get into that matchup, you pretty much just shield everything against Lantern on your Swampert. And we know that Noctowl can do some things against Galarian Stunfisk, so that was kind of the thinking there. I need to stay in, try to win it, but unfortunately I didn't shield up there. So at this point I'm like, this is so rough, I'm just going to have to come back in with Swampert. I'm going to farm up as much as I can here, go for the Hydro Cannon, and that should hopefully take out the Lantern, or we'll see if they want to shield it. So they let the Lantern go, thankfully. And in comes Trevor, 1, 2, 3. I go for the Hydro Cannon, so they're on 4 Shadow Claws. Let's see if they go for the... Yeah, so I actually swap out a little bit too early there. I was trying to catch a Seed Bomb, but the opponent actually decides to stay in and farm up for a little while, which allows us to get to that Shadow Ball. Now let's see if this is going to do a lot of damage. So it does. They have a decently high-ranked Stunfisk, but as you can see, the Noctowl matchup is not simple for this thing. So we decide to throw up the shield here, and we're going to go off for another Shadow Ball. So letting the Noctowl get that far ahead in energy is not recommended, guys, and this is, it's a very risky play by the opponent here. They get to another Rock Slide. We can eat 2 of these Rock Slides. It takes 3 of these to take out. So we're going to go ahead and throw the Shadow Ball. I was a little bit afraid of the catch, so I swapped out, thinking that the opponent might try to come in. But yeah, GG's there. We end up taking that energy on the Swampert, and the opponent does come in. Now, I decide to go for a nasty undercharge right here. The opponent will be able to get to a Rock Slide pretty soon. The opponent can throw anything here, it doesn't really matter. And at this point, with the opponent being in Sky Attack range, I decide I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball here just to be on the safe side. And, you know, it was getting really dicey right there, but we did manage to switch that around and, you know, end up taking that match. Lantern is a big problem for this team, so definitely stay in with Swampert. You could double shield and go straight Hydro and build up to the Earthquake each time. I think you build up to the Earthquake, you know, the first couple of times, and at that point, you might see it a little bit later on in the video. The Lantern will get very low, and you can just start going for Hydros to take it out. But a very bad lead right here, we've got Trevenant, but we have 2 very good answers for it, and in comes this Lantern again. These battles are starting to get a little bit, you know, sweatier at this point. I decided to start running meta teams because I was seeing teams like this quite often, and at this point we're kind of sacrificing the Pidgeot again. The one nice benefit here of Pidgeot is you can debuff the opponent. Can we get off another debuff? We do. So that's going to leave the back end matchup with Swampert a lot more comfortable. And Swampert, like 2 Hydro Cannons almost take out the Trevenant. If you have a Shadow Swampert, which I actually don't have one, unfortunately. I was definitely sleeping on the Team Rocket leaders a little bit. But yeah, we come in with here, 2 Hydros can take out, or 2 Hydros with a normal Swampert will almost take out the Trevenant. Look at the serve, it literally does nothing. So I'm going to farm up to max energy here, try to get the most out of this matchup and threaten a lot of damage on the Trevenant here as well. Right, so we're up to more or less 100 energy. We're going to fire off a Hydro, see if they want to shield it. The opponent lets it go, and I'm happy enough with that because I do want to get a farm down because, like I said, they're just doing nothing here to us. So this puts us in a much better position in the Trevenant matchup. So the opponent obviously will come in with Trevenant, and we both have 2 shields up, so it's like, okay, what do we do here? So the opponent comes in, we bank up to 100 energy, and we swap into Noctowl. In comes a Mandibuzz, so this is a very interesting one right here. So we decided to go for a Sky Attack. I believe that this is a positive matchup for Noctowl. The opponent lets that go, and I think that was a mistake. I think you want to shield up everything as Mandibuzz, knowing that you've got that positive matchup in the back. So we go ahead and get off another Sky Attack, try to throw in good timing here. When you're throwing against a 3-turn fast move, if you're using a 2-turn fast move, throw on 1, 4, 7. 1 move, 4 moves, or 7. So yeah, we'll get off another Sky Attack. Am I even throwing in good timing here? Let me just see here. Alright, so we get off another Sky Attack. The opponent is getting really low, and we're definitely doing more damage with these wing attacks. Again, I'm going to shield this up again. We're going to build up to another Sky Attack right here, and we're going to swap into the Swampert and snipe with the Hydro Cannon. We've got an absolute ton of energy on this thing. The opponent shields it, and yeah, they actually CMP it, which is perfect. So I don't mind them actually taking us out here. That's absolutely fine. That allows us to get the extra energy. We just go straight for the Sky Attack on this Trevenant, and we'll go for the normal nice undercharge. We can eat any move here, which is absolutely fine, and that'll allow us to basically farm up a little bit more in the back end. And as you can see, I could probably live another Seed Bomb here, so this is perfectly fine at this point. And look at the timer. The timer's coming into play, but we do get off a Sky Attack on this this big bulky bird. This was the OG big bulky bird, but Noctowl has definitely taken that over. And you know, just we got a little bit of bad alignment there, but we were able to overcome that, which is quite nice. Trevenant's not really too much of a problem for this team, even if you get it in the lead, because you do have 2 very good answers for it in the back. Now Pelipper is a bit of a problem, so we're just going to swap straight out here. We go into Pidgeot once again, and we'll see what the opponent wants to do. Okay, so they actually catch on a Registeel, which is okay. We can get off a ton of debuffs right here, and again, that's the nice thing, like, if you go into your Flier, you're going to draw out your Swampert, or your Flier counter, which will be a good Pokemon for Swampert. You debuff the absolute life out of them, and I think if you go straight Brave Bird in this matchup, you can actually get this really low. But I prefer to go for the debuffs, and try to get it as low as possible. A Zap Cannon doesn't even take us out of that range anymore, and we will go for the raw damage of the Brave Bird. You go for the Feather Dance twice, and that'll quadruple debuff the opponent, which is the maximum amount of debuffs, and we actually just about don't get that. The opponent might have had to think about shielding there, if we were to get another move off. So the opponent being a little bit risky, but let's see how much this tickles. Now, I expected the Zap Cannon because it will debuff, and we can eat Focus Blast as well. I'm just going for the farm down and farm downs here. Like, I'm not letting this Reggie do anything to us. So it is getting a little bit dicey here, and yeah, we just about get the full farm down. I decided to swap straight back into Noctowl because I knew that they had a move banked, and I did not want to risk any energy, and I wanted to, you know, try to save the shields. The opponent comes in with their own Noctowl, and we actually get a little bit ahead on energy here, which is perfect. This is still going to be difficult because I think the Pelipper is still about 2 off of another Weather Ball, and that thing is just so spammy, but we're going to just double shield here. The opponent throws a Shadow Ball, interestingly enough. I guess they probably miscollected or something. You know, it happens to the best of us, folks. It happens to the best of us, but we'll go for another Sky Attack here. And at this point, I'm like, I've got a Swampert with a ton of energy, or I've got a Noctowl. I decided to come in with a Swampert, and I decided to start firing off some Hydros here. I'm not sure if this is the correct play, because I was ahead on energy on the Noctowl, so maybe I should have done that instead. Maybe go for another Sky Attack and then come in with the Swampert. But the opponent comes in, these do a lot of damage, and as I said, like, they were only 2 off a move there, so they're able to take us out right there. So we're going to come back in. The opponent still has a shield, and yeah, we're not going to be able to get the farm down here, unfortunately. The opponent will get to a move in time, so good games to the opponent right there. Pelipper is definitely a bit of a core breaker for this team. It's not like a full core breaker, but it's just very difficult for Swampert to deal with, and it's so spammy that it gets off a lot of damage. So if you kind of get it in like the wrong part of the match, it does cause a few issues. good games to the opponent. Hopping in here, we've got Goldo Ace. Let's see what you've got here. A Talonflame, okay, I'll take all of that. So I'm feeling like we've got a Brave Bird and Dip coming here. Now whenever you're playing against an Incinerate Pokemon, if you've got a 2-turn fast move, you throw in 4 or 7, they let that go, so I'm like, okay, a Brave Bird. It can only be one thing at this point if they're letting that go. The opponent probably thinks, okay, I'll get a shield advantage and try to make the best of this kind of bad matchup here. I decided to go straight for the EQ on the Scrafty. Not sure if that's absolutely necessary, but it does a ton of damage, and we get a little bit ahead on energy with the Pidgeot. Now at this point, this is pretty straightforward. We've got the alignment we want here, basically. We've got the Scrafty on the Noctowl, and we've got the Swampert on this, and we're even going to debuff it a little bit, and maybe even get it into Hydro Cannon range, so this is just a very dominant matchup. It's going to take a null or 2 Rock Slides to take us out, so I'm happy enough at this point. We can eat another Rock Slide, and as long as we get this into debuff, or sorry, not debuff range, Hydro range, I'm happy enough. I decided not to go for the Brave Bird here, because I don't want them to potentially farm us down. You actually can get sort of farmed down, depending on the health situation, if you're double debuffed or triple debuffed with the Brave Bird. So we come in with this, and yeah, we end up catching what's probably a Power Up Punch here. Or yeah, it is a Power Up Punch on Noctowl. At this point, the opponent's probably thinking about top lefting, but fair play to them to stay in here, and I think we'll just go for a couple of Shadow Balls here, just to basically guarantee shields off the opponent. Could go for Sky Attacks, but it's absolutely unnecessary, and yeah, the opponent just lets that go. They realize that we've got a Swampert in the back, and there's just nothing they can do. That's why Noctowl is just so broken. It does really well against these Steel types, and we do get the full farm down, so good games to the opponent right there. Very, very tough team composition for them to deal with. They did try to go for the Brave Bird and Dip, and we go 3 and 5 out of this first one. So my initial impressions with this team this season, it's hard to tell because we're still in these early ranks, and I'm seeing some random Pokemon still. So maybe this will work a little bit better once everybody gets their rank. But next set we get a very positive lead, and we get a very positive swap. So, you know, pretty much, you know, just win alignment, guys. Like, that's all you have to do. You know, just hard counter the opponent and you'll win, like, obviously. But as you've seen from that matchup earlier, you know, you don't necessarily need it in certain cases. Like, we had the Trevenant lead before, and we land the big Shadow Ball on the Medicham. So at this point, I feel like I can live an Ice Punch just about. It's a Psychic, so this is perfect actually, because the opponent's not going to get a ton of farm. And they come in with Meganium, so I'm like, okay, this is a very interesting one. We'll come in with our Pidgeot right here. I'm surprised the opponent doesn't top left, and I'm getting an absolute ton of lag. I have no idea what's happening here. I'm just tapping for my dear life. I'm expecting the opponent to, I was expecting the opponent to top left, and I thought the opponent did close their app, but no, they're actually at a move, and we've done a little bit of extra damage. I was definitely playing these battles very early this morning, like 6 AM. As you can see, it's still dark outside, like it was 5:30, 6 AM playing these. So I was definitely playing some people in America or something, so the opponent aggro swaps into Bastiodon. That's definitely not going to help them. We're just going to build up a ton of energy, and we can tank a Flamethrower or whatever. Yeah, the opponent doesn't even get to it, and at this point, yeah, I can just go for Hydros against this thing. It's going to be handy enough. So yeah, like I said, guys, just get alignment. It's super easy. Like, pro tips in the Go Battle League, just, you know, out rock, paper, scissors your opponent. But this is actually getting sketchy. Like, I was like, no way I lose this match because of this lag at the start. This is getting sketchy. The opponent's got us really low. I decided to go for the debuff right there because I just don't want to take any risks with it. I probably should just go for the full farm down, but GG's to the opponent there. And yeah, if you're in that situation, like 1 shield each, I think it'll take them 6 Vine Whips to get to the Frenzy. So you should be able to just farm down there. Pidgeot is pretty good with attack weight and stuff like that. So let's see what happens in the next one here. Are we going to hard counter the opponent again? They've got a Ninetales, so Ninetales actually wins this matchup, so it's not quite the hard counter, and this thing is like a core breaker for our whole team. So let's see if we can sort of dance our way around this a little bit. I foolishly kind of let the Feller Ball, or the Weller Ball go. I've got Feller Dance on the brain here, but the opponent lets that go as well, and I'm going to go for a second Hydro. That's the one thing, like, we can outpace 2 double Hydros, and at this point I'm like, right, I'm just going to safe swap into Noctowl and just try to go for the farm down. This is going to do an absolute ton of damage. Look at that. This Ninetales is busted, and they get off another move as well, so I'm like, right, I have to shield. I'll try to leave myself a move at least on the other side. The opponent did stay in there for a minute, so hopefully they don't have any Allers super counters to it. I built up to almost the back-to-back Sky Attacks right here. It'll take them 6 Shadow Claws to get to the Dark Pulse. We see MP on the Shadow Ball here as well. So I'm happy enough I can get the shields down at this point. Or the opponent has no shields left, sorry, so it was nice getting the shield advantage in the beginning. A Shadow Ball does a ton of damage, and I could maybe consider swapping out here, but I decide to make the opponent throw energy here. And yeah, we'll get a slight farm down with something here. So I think we'll come back, maybe Swampert, potentially, let's see here. Or do we come in with Pidgeot? We do come in with Pidgeot. And that is kind of nice. The opponent top left's there, so obviously they had like Trevenant in the back or something. But it is kind of nice getting ahead on energy right there, because the Brave Bird with no shields is just so deadly. And of course we have a Swampert with a little bit of health left that we can sort of swap back into, so good games to the opponent. In comes the Lantern again. This is an awkward one. Let's see what we can do here. So am I going to go for the bait or the Earthquake this time? The opponent's going straight Surf. I should be shielding this, but I don't. So I think I'll have an opportunity to shield twice anyway. This time we're going for the bait. Let's see what the opponent decides to do. Like, you just can't win with this sometimes. I'm like, right, okay, I have to bait twice here. Like, I'm committed to baiting, so I'm just going to go for the double bait. So at least we do get a shield off the opponent. We're going to go for shield here because the opponent can't farm us down. So I guess technically you can let the Surf go at the start. We're forced to double shield here. And yeah, this is getting a little bit tough here. At this point, the opponent is near enough Hydro Cannon range. So we're going to fire this off. The opponent is very low. And did they swap in there? I just want to get the Lantern out. Like, I'm not trying to mess about with it. And in comes a Pelipper, which again is just super tough to deal with. I decide to bank Hydro Cannon and catch a Weather Ball on Noctowl, which won't do too much damage. And in comes Galarian Stunfisk. So it is a very good thing that we bank that Hydro. Because like I said, you never know if there is just that Steel type lurking in the back. The Shadow Ball should get it pretty much into Hydro Cannon range, but of course the opponent is, you know, very sort of ahead on energy here, and they have a shield as well, so this is very, very tough looking here. I think I do maybe a funny play here. So let me see, am I coming in with Pidgeot? I might come in with Pidgeot 1, 2, 3. We come into Swampert, and what I tried to do there was I CMP tie. I wanted to try and CMP tie swap so that I could get the shield off the opponent while expending their energy. So what you want to do is it takes 1 turn to throw the move, and it takes 1 turn to swap in. So let's say if the opponent gets their move in 5, which would be the Rock Slide route, and you have a Hydro Cannon banked, you want to swap after they do 4, because it takes a turn to swap in, and it takes a turn to throw the move. So if you're trying to go for that CMP swap, you need to throw like 1 move basically before they reach their move. So that's my mistake right there, and it is going to cost the match. I think if I got that off, that potentially was a win condition, because we maybe could have taken it out, got up a little bit more in energy with the Pidgeot, or even debuffed it and went for a lot of energy and tried to like farm it down or do something crazy with it, and then maybe come out with a move on the other side for Pelipper. I think that was my win condition there, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do a good catch. So good games to the opponent there. Again, we're just seeing Pelipper just putting in a lot of work against this team. Out of all of the Flyers, shout out to Dan Ottawa, by the way. He made a really good video yesterday, kind of outlining all of the Great League meta, and he was talking about Pelipper not being his favourite Flyer. I do agree that Noctowl and Altaria are probably the better answers. In this matchup, I like to go straight Hydro Cannon. It's the most efficient move. Hydro Cannon is just busted. There's no real need to go for Earthquakes, and I decide, okay, we'll just make sure there's no, you know, of course, Stunfisks or Registeels in the back. So we're just going to kind of safe swap in Noctowl here. And they come in with a Skarmory. Skarmory wins this matchup, but we are ahead in energy, so we're going to be able to get off a ton of damage. So we might be able to get a shield off the opponent. Another Shadow Ball would maybe just about take out of this range. I believe I can live a Sky Attack right here, so let it go. We do. We throw in good timing as well to try and potentially get off another move. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. So maybe I could have went for a bait there, but yeah, we don't even get off the other move anyway, so I maybe could have went for 2 Sky Attacks if I knew that matched like perfectly, but I'm happy enough with that. We got the shield, we've got the Hydro on the Swampert, and in comes Venusaur. So I'm like, right, okay, so I've got 2 shields. The opponent actually stays in for a little while there, which is, again, a bit of a mistake. They're trying to farm up a little bit of energy. We can basically get the debuff straight off on this Umbreon. Now with this, you want to shield the first one because it'll do the most damage. We get off a second. Okay, so yeah, we actually let the second one go. Thinking that they might decide to let it go. But yeah, in terms of your shield usage, you want to shield the first one because it'll do the most damage, and with the attack Harshly Fell, that gives you an advantage. So the opponent is up to a move here. The Sludge Bomb will just... Okay, it's actually Frenzy Plant, so I guess I was counting correctly, which is good. Maybe I should have shielded that because it does a lot of damage anyway. And we go for the debuff. I probably could have... Okay, we actually catch on the Swampert here as well. A little bit unnecessary, still had a shield. But we're just doing everything we can here, and we go for the full farm down. So that works out pretty nicely. I think we were on actually 1 health right there. So maybe if I had a shielded that, I would have got the 1 health knockout. You guys can freeze it and see if that would have been a 1 health knockout. But I'm not sure if that was even better with like the 1 turn swap out. And we actually did get a mud shot free, so maybe that did actually help us win. But a mini-champ matchup, you always swap straight out. You can swap out to anything, and they come in with a Shadow Swampert. Again, like, you don't want to come into these matchups too late with the opponent, because they're basically forced to shield this. Now, 2 Hydros will take out the Noctowl, but we can get off, hopefully, another Sky Attack here, and basically get a shield advantage. We see MP in this one. I'm happy to trade shields, and, you know, basically either almost take the thing out, or get a shield advantage going into the next match. The opponent does let that go. Can we get the full farm down? Yes, we do. That's perfect. The opponent's going to come back in with their own Noctowl, and we're going to fire off a Sky Attack right here. It's going to do a decent amount of damage, and I come in with Pidgeot here. I think Pidgeot actually wins this matchup right here, because the debuffs are just super crazy. Again, we're shielding up the first one, going for the Brave Bird, which they don't even expect. So yeah, goodbye Noctowl, and in comes Pidgeot. So I feel like, you know, I'm pretty happy at this point. The opponent can take us out here, which is no problem. Would have been nice to get off the Feather Dance, but we've got a full health Swampert and a Noctowl to play around with here, so our switch timer is not quite up here. We're going to fire off a Hydro, see what they want to do. Yep, so they're going to shield it up. And do I get... Okay, so I just let them throw the move. I guess I feel like I can get to another Hydro and potentially come in with Noctowl if I need to. So I think either way is fine, like, you know, building up some energy and swapping out. And yeah, at this point we come in. Do they get off a move? They're on 1 HP, guys. They're on 1 HP and they reach the Ice Punch. Super unfortunate. I think I definitely could have played it a little bit better on the Noctowl matchup, perhaps. Or I could have used my shields a little bit better there, but super close matchup. And we've got a Ponyta, so yeah, like, you guys can let me know, like, what you would have done in that matchup. Definitely could have played it a little bit better, but hopefully you guys are enjoying seeing some of these losses. I think it is really a good learning experience with these. With the wins, like, I will admit, like, a lot of the wins have been sort of hard counter wins, but in comes the Registeel, so this is interesting. We're just going to go for a ton of debuffs right here. And again, I wonder, like, if I commit shields to this and just go straight Brave Bird, would I do better in this matchup? I do prefer, like I said, going for the debuffs. The Zap Cannon doesn't even take us out anymore. We'll go for another one here, and we'll see if the opponent wants to get greedy in energy. I'm happy enough to debuff them like crazy, and then potentially, yeah, so we're going to go for this Brave Bird. The opponent is trying to farm up as much as possible, rightly so. But look how much damage we're doing. Like, it gets it down to about, you know, 20% health, and they go for the full farm down. Even with 100 energy, with the quadruple debuff that we've applied to them, the Swampert is, you know, going to eat all this energy. I always expect the Zap Cannon first to go for the debuff, and they're going to throw off probably a Focus Blast right here to get the most damage possible. But whenever they're debuffed, this will only get us down to about 30% health. They go for it back-to-back Zap Cannons, which is interesting, and we're actually coming out of this match with a ton of energy. The opponent comes in with Azu and then swaps into Sableye. So this is a very positive matchup for Noctowl. I decided to go straight Sky Attack here. The opponent lets that first one go. I guess if I land the Shadow Ball, like, I could farm down a lot more comfortably, but I'm happy enough to keep my... the opponent goes for a return as well. If I was the opponent, I definitely would have went Foul Play. They were trying to get off the big damage, but I'm happy enough shielding up the first one. Let that go, and we're going to go for a Sky Attack right here. So the opponent's in, like, a bit of a rough spot. Azumarill is still pretty strong, though. It has Ice Beam. We'll see what the opponent goes for. They go for Hydro Pump, so I'm thinking, right, the opponent does not have Ice Beam, so this is even better. We're going to farm up, throw in good timing, throw in 7, and go for the Sky Attack. The opponent lets it go. Now, I come in here and go straight Earthquake. You should probably come in and go for the bait, but let's see what the opponent does. Yeah, so they get to another move. So we're actually, like, making this match a little bit closer than it needs to be. We're going to come in with Noctowl, and I'm just going to go for a Shadow Ball just to be on the safe side here. The opponent shouldn't be able to get to a Play Rough in time, and I'm not sure even if a Play Rough would take out. Shadow Ball does more raw damage, so good games to the opponent. I think they were committing to the Hydro Pump there, possibly. That's so funny, like, whenever you come in for that snipe, opponents usually do shield, so I probably should have came in and went for the Hydro Cannon bait, which, you know, any chip on that at that point is valuable, and the opponent can't really afford to let moves go. I'm not sure what's happening here. See, I'm just playing this, like, as if it's normal, because I've been getting so many lag in these matches where I don't know what move they're farming up to. We're going to go for the Earthquake here, which will do an absolute ton of damage, and they let it go, and we'll go ahead and come in and farm down. They come in with a Toxicroak, which is not ideal, and we're going to go for the debuff here. Now, they do know Sludge Bomb, which would do a lot of damage, but yeah, look at that, like, even the Feather Dance just rips through this Toxicroak. I think Toxicroak, like, it's a fun pick, but it's just so risky. It is really a cannon, but yeah, if you get aligned with a Flier, it's so tough. The opponent actually comes in with Jellicent right here, and we're just gonna fire off the big Brave Bird. The opponent is gonna no surf here, and this Brave Bird just, yeah, it does a lot of damage. Can we get to another move? We actually can. These hexes cannot farm down, so the opponent's in just such a bad spot right here. They end up having to shield that. We swap out. The opponent comes in. I might as well just shield the Weller Ball, like, there's no reason not to. The opponent was just super, super weak to flying types, and yeah, good games to the opponent there. There's just really not a lot they can do. Even if they throw a couple of surfs here, it should not take us out, so... And of course we have the Swampert in the back too. The opponent did farm up a ton of energy, but it's not going to help them out here. I decided to go for the Sky Attack and see if they want to let it go at this point, and the opponent does let it go, because, you know, I would have done the same thing. Like, there's not a whole lot they can do there. Good games, and guys, that is the team. Shivam, by the way, Shivam, GG's, dude. If you're watching this video, good games. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not sure what was going on with the lag, so maybe that match would have been different. I think if the opponent wasn't lagging, I would have swapped straight out to one of the Flyers and went about it that way. But the opponent was just super weak to Noctowl and Pidgeot, so maybe it would have been the same. But that is Swampert double Flyer. Let me know what you think about it. I played 15 battles with it, and I went 8 out of 15. So you see now, I think, a couple of the losses, and some of the losses that I didn't include in the video, I kind of, you know, made some bad plays or whatever that I could have won. So it is still a very strong team, but I don't think it's the best possible team you can go for. I would recommend going for some other things. But thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Join the Discord community. Feel free to follow me on Twitter as well. I'll catch you guys in the next one.